There was a time when every Katy Perry song ruled the charts. Her voice echoed from car radios, nightclubs, and festival stages all over the world. From Firework to Roar, she wasn't just another pop artist. She was the face of an entire era of pop music. Every release felt like an event, and every chorus turned into an anthem that people still sing today. But now things are different. Her new songs barely touch the charts, her music videos don't trend, and even her highly promoted comeback album came and went without much noise. The same artist who once broke records now struggles to make headlines for her music at all. So what really happened? How did one of the biggest pop stars on the planet, someone who once defined pop perfection, fall so far from the top? This is the story of Katy Perry, the pop star who fell off the charts. After dominating the 2010s with one hit after another, Katy Perry slowly disappeared from the top of the charts. For nearly a decade, she was untouchable, the kind of artist who could drop a single and instantly control radio, streaming, and social media. But by the early 2020s, that magic started to fade. When she announced her 2024 album 143, fans and critics expected a full-scale comeback, something that would bring back the sparkle of her teenage dream days. But things didn't go as planned. 143 debuted at number 6 in the US, which, on paper, looked respectable. But within just 2 weeks, it dropped off the Billboard 200 completely. Her shortest chart run ever. The reviews weren't kind either. Critics called the album forgettable, saying it felt like a recycled version of her past hits. Fans, meanwhile, said it sounded out of touch. For someone once known for shaping the sound of mainstream pop, it was a hard fall. Part of the problem was timing. Pop music had changed dramatically. The world had moved toward TikTok-driven hits, stripped-down melodies, and emotionally raw lyrics. Viral sounds and bedroom pop replaced the big, colorful, bubblegum anthems Katy was known for. Her upbeat, polished pop style, once her greatest strength, suddenly felt dated. The lead single, Woman's World, peaked only at number 63 on the Billboard Hot 100. Far from her chart-topping glory days, the music video looked glossy and expensive, but it didn't capture the cultural spark she was once famous for. Online, the reaction was brutally honest. Comment sections filled with remarks like, "She's trying too hard," and "It's giving 2013. Longtime fans still love her old classics, but her new material didn't trend, didn't spark memes, and didn't inspire any kind of buzz. It wasn't hate that hurt her comeback. It was silence. And in pop music, silence is deadly. Indifference means people have already moved on, and for Katy Perry, that was the first real sign that her pop reign had finally started to fade. When 143 finally dropped, the numbers spoke louder than any review. The album opened with just 48,000 album-equivalent units, a sharp drop compared to her golden years. Back in 2010, Teenage Dream had debuted with 192,000 units in its first week, setting a new standard for pop success. But now, the figures looked like a fraction of what she once achieved. Within 2 weeks, 143 had already disappeared from the Billboard 200, marking the shortest run of her entire career. Even on streaming platforms, where modern pop artists live or die, the song struggled to gain traction. Just around 13 million streams in the first week. It was clear that the world wasn't listening like it used to. In the 2010s, radio was Katy Perry's kingdom. Every station played California Girls, Firework, and Dark Horse on repeat. Her songs were made for airplay, catchy, loud, and bright. But now, her name barely appears on top 40 playlists. There's no major radio push behind her singles, and even when she collaborates with trending artists, the songs vanish before they make a real impact. Radio programmers seem to have quietly moved on, shifting focus to younger, fresher names who dominate the streaming charts. YouTube, once her strongest platform, tells the same story. Her older videos still rack up billions of views, proof of her past dominance. Roar, Dark Horse, and Firework are practically time capsules of 2010's pop culture. But her newer music videos barely scratch 10 or 20 million views, even with cinematic production and massive budgets. The algorithm no longer pushes her content because the younger audiences who drive YouTube engagement simply aren't clicking anymore. And that's where Katy Perry stands today, caught between legacy and relevance. On Spotify, her classics are still thriving. Dark Horse has over 1.5 billion streams, and her older albums continue to bring in millions every month. But the new material can't compete, not even with her own past work. She's become what the industry calls a legacy pop star, respected, admired, but no longer the cultural force she once was. Part of this shift isn't just about numbers, it's about how the entire pop landscape has changed. The sound of the new era belongs to artists like Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo, Doja Cat, and Dua Lipa. Their music is smaller, darker, and more emotional, built around authenticity rather than spectacle. The glossy, high-energy world that Katy helped define now feels like a relic of a different time. Listeners today crave intimacy, vulnerability, and something that feels raw. Katy's music, with its polished production and bright colors, feels almost too perfect for an audience that wants imperfection. TikTok changed everything. Every hit song now starts there, not on radio, not on streaming playlists. And while many younger artists learned to thrive in that ecosystem, Katy's fanbase was built long before the TikTok era. Her music doesn't naturally fit the short, viral moment formula that drives hits today. None of her recent songs sparked challenges, memes, or trends. In a world where virality equals success, Katy never really cracked the code. Then, there's the quiet, unspoken pressure that comes with age. Pop is a young person's market, and as Katy moved into her late 30s, the way the media talked about her shifted. She's still glamorous, still talented, but every move gets framed differently. When she experiments with bold styles or upbeat visuals, people accuse her of trying to stay young. But when she leans into maturity or reflection, she's called boring or out of touch. It's an impossible balance, one that female artists are forced to walk far more harshly than men. And instead of headlines about her music, the attention drifted elsewhere. Articles focused on her family life, motherhood, brand partnerships, and her time as a judge on American Idol. By 2025, even a promotional event tied to Blue Origin, a space travel project, went viral for all the wrong reasons, turning into an online joke instead of a career milestone. The result was simple but brutal. The music got buried under everything else. Katy Perry was still everywhere, but not for the reasons that made her famous in the first place. Katy Perry's comeback album 143 was supposed to be her big return, a statement that she was still the queen of pop. The title stood for I Love You, a nod to her softer, more emotional side. She described it as her most personal work yet, hoping to reconnect with fans who'd grown up with her. But when the album dropped, that connection didn't happen. Listeners said the songs felt safe, like she was trying to play it both ways, nostalgic yet modern, and ended up somewhere in between. Even her most loyal fans admitted it sounded like a collection of recycled ideas from her Witness and Smile eras. The marketing didn't help. The rollout felt like something out of 2015, TV talk shows, glossy magazine covers, and Instagram countdowns. Meanwhile, her peers were turning album drops into cultural events. Beyoncé released Cowboy Carter with surprise visuals and symbolism. Taylor Swift made the Tortured Poets department a storytelling experience. But Katy's 143 just appeared. There was no viral moment, no mystery, no hook. In an era where fans expect an experience, not just an album, her strategy fell flat. Then came the reviews, and they were rough. The Guardian called it a comeback that failed to hit. Billboard wrote that it struggles to find a modern voice. Critics said Katy seemed caught between chasing trends and trying to revive her old sound. The result was an album that didn't stand out in either direction. Some even said it felt like she'd lost her artistic identity in the process, unsure whether to evolve or to relive her golden years. But it wasn't just critics who noticed. Fans on Reddit and Twitter echoed the same feeling. We love her, but she's lost the spark. Others blamed Capitol Records for poor promotion and weak singles. A few fans even suggested she should have gone independent, experimented more, and taken creative risks like she once did. The disappointment wasn't anger, it was sadness. People wanted to root for her. They just didn't have anything new to hold on to. Years of constant hit-making, pressure to reinvent, and image management take a toll. And Katy wasn't immune. Behind the smiles and glitter, she'd been open about feeling trapped by expectations. If she changed her sound, fans complained. If she stayed the same, critics yawned. It was a no-win situation. The exhaustion of having to stay relevant in a fast-moving pop world became obvious. Public fatigue didn't help either. After nearly a decade at the top, audiences naturally moved on. Pop fans craved the next big thing, and Katy had been the big thing for too long. It's a pattern that's hit other icons before her. Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, even Rihanna. When you dominate the charts for years, the public eventually wants a new face. Katy's bright, playful image, the candy-coated aesthetic that once felt empowering, started to feel overused and out of touch. Motherhood also changed everything for her. After having her daughter Daisy, Katy often spoke about how her priorities shifted. Music wasn't her entire identity anymore. She wanted balance, peace, and time to be a mother. That's admirable, but in pop culture, stepping back often means losing visibility. In a world that rewards constant output and viral presence, taking a break is like stepping out of the race entirely. And when Katy came back, the finish line had already moved. Her story isn't one of failure, it's one of evolution. But evolution in pop music doesn't always come with applause. For someone who once defined the sound of an era, Katy Perry now faces the toughest challenge of all, staying herself in a world that's already moved on. In today's music industry, there's an uncomfortable truth. Men can age, but women can't. Male artists like Drake and The Weeknd are still dropping chart-topping albums well into their 30s and 40s. They're celebrated for their maturity, their evolution, their artistic depth. But when a female pop star like Katy Perry hits that same age, every choice becomes a headline. Every wrinkle, every lyric, every outfit gets judged. The same confidence that once made her a global icon now gets twisted into trying too hard. Katy didn't just face criticism for her music, she faced it for existing as an older woman in a space built to worship youth. And then there's the reinvention trap, one that every female pop artist eventually falls into. Madonna, Gaga, and Miley all had to transform to stay in the game. For Katy, reinvention was never easy. When she released Witness and Smile, trying to show a more serious, introspective side, critics mocked her for being too heavy and losing her spark. But when she tried to return to the fun bubblegum sound that made her famous, people said she was childish and stuck in the past. There was no right move. Every direction was criticized, every choice dissected. The same creativity that once made her special now felt like a cage. Behind all this was another problem: the record label system. Major labels still control most of the decisions: when to release, how to promote, and what image to push. Katy's team stuck to the old playbook. Radio singles, billboard ads, TV performances, but it's 2025, and the music industry doesn't work that way anymore. Pop hits now explode on TikTok through fan-generated buzz or viral trends. Katy's label never adapted. They treated her comeback like it was 2013 again, and the audience moved on before she could catch up. Still, even with the decline in chart dominance, her legacy remains undeniable. Katy Perry gave the world Firework, Roar, Dark Horse, and Teenage Dream, songs that didn't just top the charts, but defined an entire decade of pop. Very few artists, male or female, have that many global anthems under their belt. Even if she never lands another #1, her music is permanently woven into pop culture. When people think of early 2010s pop, they think of Katy, the candy-colored wigs, fireworks, the unapologetic confidence. The numbers prove her lasting power. Across all platforms, she's racked up over 20 billion combined Spotify streams. Roar and Dark Horse each have over 1 billion plays on their own. Millions of people still press play. They're just playing her old hits, not the new ones. Her sound became a time capsule of joy and nostalgia. The world might have moved on, but her music never stopped playing in the background of people's lives. And her influence is everywhere. Artists like Dua Lipa, Ava Max, and even Olivia Rodrigo have credited Katy's colorful, confident pop style as inspiration. That mix of attitude, fun, and emotional storytelling shaped the next generation of pop stars. Even if Katy isn't leading the wave anymore, she helped build it. On stage, she still delivers. Her Las Vegas residency and world tours continue to sell out. Audiences sing every lyric: Teenage Dream, Last Friday Night, E.T., word for word. The energy is still there. The voice is still strong. The showmanship hasn't faded. What changed wasn't her talent, it was the spotlight. In the ever-evolving world of pop, relevance fades, but legacy doesn't. Katy Perry might not dominate the charts like she once did, but her impact on music is already written in history. Katy Perry's story isn't about failure, it's about transition. After years of defining pop music, the world simply changed faster than she did. The industry became a playground for short-form trends and algorithm-driven virality, leaving traditional pop stars scrambling to adapt. Katy wasn't built for that. She came from an era where a hit was earned through radio, tours, and visuals, not 15-second clips. Yet despite all the criticism, she remains one of the most iconic pop figures of her generation. Few artists can say they've shaped culture the way she has. Her style, energy, and unapologetic confidence opened doors for the next wave of performers. Songs like Firework, Roar, and Teenage Dream didn't just dominate the charts, they inspired a generation that grew up believing in color, joy, and self-expression. Even if her current music doesn't trend, her influence is everywhere. From pop aesthetics to stage production, her tours still sell, her fan base still shows up, and her music continues to soundtrack major life moments for millions. Katy Perry might have fallen off the charts, but she didn't fall from grace. She's simply standing in a new era, one where fame isn't measured in numbers, but in legacy. In a culture obsessed with the next big thing, she remains proof that true icons don't disappear. They evolve, they adapt, and even when the spotlight moves on, their light never truly fades.